Usually about an hour. Depends whether it hits the center of the shadow or not.
But he's a teacher. But I didn't make coffee because I presumed it would be short.
Help anybody. I'm Amanda.
Or are you Amanda? I'm Amanda. You talk Amanda.
And Harry.
Lots of people are sick.
Oh boy, my B of A is out.
So clearly. Right.
Good evening.
Oh, everybody's here.
Almost.
No, everybody's here. Terry's not coming.
All right. This is the regular meeting of the Planning Commission for Wednesday, February 20th. And with that, can we have the Pledge of Allegiance from Commissioner Koenig?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So to the public you should not be looking at us, at least for the next 5 minutes or so, because there's an amazing lunar eclipse going on. So go on outside, take a look at that before you come back and talk to us. With that, can we have the roll call?
Commissioner Dodd?
Yeah, here.
Commissioner Davis?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson? Here. Commissioner Koenig?
Present.
Chair Pugh?
Here.
And Commissioner Reese?
Here.
Commissioner Day is absent.
Chair.
Yes.
I'm over here. Just wanted to know if any of the commissioners need to recuse themselves during the remainder of the eclipse. For a moment, I brought the astronomical binoculars, and you're welcome.
Good. Planning Director's report, please.
Well, I want to thank you for spending Saturday a week ago at the workshop. And great comments from the commission, and we will be putting together a lot of specific responses, things like sun angles and all kinds of things that the commission has asked for. We are hoping, I told the chair today, we're hoping to be able to bring some of that back the first meeting in March, but it may be a little bit later, but we want to get it back to you as quickly as possible so we can really complete the discussion about the overall strategy, because we are hoping to have a draft plan ready for the commission by mid-late April. So that is an ambitious schedule. We have a workshop March 1st, Saturday, March 1st.
Yes, it's March 1st.
The goal is to be done by about 12:30. We're going to try and structure it so that if people want to stay later, we'll have stations, but that we can have the presentation, some community discussion, commission discussion, and then if people want to spend time after that, they'll be welcome to, but that the commission and community members will not have to spend the whole day there if they don't desire. And then the workshop that will bring together the workforce housing, the economic, and then bring all of the other land use pieces together. We are trying to schedule, we're having trouble with Saturdays, and I think people are probably burned out on Saturdays, so we are going to try and schedule a weeknight the last week or so in March, and we're checking with the consultants, and then we're going to be checking with the commission. But the goal will be to do it on a weeknight as opposed to a Saturday. So that's the meeting that was initially scheduled for the 15th. That will be probably 2 weeks later on a weeknight.
Yeah, I just want to let you know, in terms of scheduling, those last 2 weeks in March are spring break for the schools, so that may affect people's availability. I know it affects mine, so just as you're doing your planning.
Okay, the date I'm working back from is we have a workshop with council on the 8th of April. So so we'll have to find out everybody's availability, because we definitely need at least a week and a half or so from when we meet with the commission and the community to council. But thank you.
I should also mention, if people do go to the League of Cities Planning Conference, that is the last days of March. It's March 26th through the 28th. So it would be the second to the last week wouldn't be bad for some of us, although that's the week ending Good Friday. March is a problem.
So are the Ides.
The Ides, I thought that.
People get knifed.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I think with that, do we have any planning commissioner announcements at this time? Seeing none, we have the approval of minutes for item 6A for the Wednesday, January 16th. I have a question before we get to that, which is that the planning director had indicated at the time that she would be meeting with commissioners. That's towards the end of the last paragraph, the end of the first paragraph, item 4. With that,
We have, and I
I
guess,
think it was the first paragraph, not the second paragraph. I'm not sure which of the two paragraphs you were looking at. It had to do with meeting with planning commissioners.
It's the last sentence in the first paragraph.
yes.
Okay. With that, do we have a motion?
I move approval.
Second.
And with that, we'll have a voice vote, I believe, right? Okay. Or do we need a roll call vote on that? Voice vote? No, voice vote should be sufficient. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And any abstentions? One abstention.
And Chairman Pugh, we should, after next Saturday's workshop, we should be able to start setting up those meetings.
Okay, very good.
And could I ask, our next planning commission meetings will we have one on March 5th? When is the next meeting scheduled?
The forthcoming meetings are March 5th, which is a policy meeting. March 19th is a development review meeting, which we have a significant agenda for that meeting. April 2nd is another policy meeting. April 16th is development review again. And on April 30th, we're planning to have a special meeting to discuss the draft loose. Thank you.
What was that date again?
April 30th.
Okay. What are the dates of the workshops again? I'm sorry.
There's a workshop on the 1st of March, transportation workshop, a Saturday, and the last workshop was proposed for the 15th, and there were scheduling issues with planning commissioners on that, so we are trying to, that's the one we just discussed, we are trying to reschedule that.
That's the Housing and Economic Development?
Yes.
Okay.
And also, Commissioner, on Monday, March 3rd, there's a community workshop on the Ocean Park Boulevard improvements at Smash School at 6:30.
And the April 30th meeting, what meeting is that?
Planning commission, that's us.
Special planning commission meeting to
On
discuss the
April
draft loose.
30th or March 30th?
April 30th.
Special meeting, okay.
And March 3rd, I'm sorry, the school, say one more time.
March 3rd is a meeting, Ocean Park Boulevard Community Workshop at Smash at 6:30.
We should, let's get something in writing which lists the workshops and all the meetings, and we'll put in it also the upcoming community meeting with Ocean Park.
Very good.
Also, I won't be here for the March 5th regular meeting.
All right. I think also there was a question for planning commissioners, and I believe an email will be going out in terms of the city has some funds for us to attend conferences, and so there should be coordination with that with the planning director.
There's going to be a planning meeting in Havana soon, so maybe, that's a joke.
Oh, well, I had an
We-
idea
we-
that all
we-
7 of us were going to that.
We'll give you a coracle and an oar.
A coracle.
Yes. Don't go around in too many circles getting there either.
Okay, thank you.
And Chair Pugh,
Yes.
with respect to the conferences, I received a booklet from the American Planning Association about their upcoming conference, which unfortunately is in Las Vegas.
Yes.
But I-
Prime planning
I have to
opportunity.
Pass this around, and if any of the commissioners have interest, there are often seminars.
And I would say that I've been to the last couple of APA, American Planning Association meetings, and they are very effective, but given that it's in Las Vegas, I will not be attending this one. All right. With that, let us move on to the statement, approval of minutes we've had, right?
Yes.
We completed that one. The statement of official action. I believe,
I'll move adoption of 1444 11th.
and a second?
Second.
And voice vote, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Abstentions?
Abstention.
With that, it passes. We have a consent calendar. Item 8A is a adjustment and correction to one that has already been approved. There's 8B, which is an extension, and 8C, I have a note for that. So 8A and 8B are still on the consent calendar unless anybody wishes to pull those.
No, but for consideration of 8B, I have to recuse myself.
Okay. So maybe we need to do 8A, which is a correction regarding 2 units being affordable units in a 6-unit condominium tract. Do we have a motion?
I hate to do this, but I have some questions on the staff report. I don't quite understand the staff report, and I think I'd like to have it explained.
Okay. So let us start with 8A. 8A, if we can have the
I have the same concern.
a staff report with regards to item 8A. We don't have anything on the consent calendar at the moment. Well, 8B only to the extent that there's that is being refused.
I have to recuse myself on 8B.
8C. 8C.
No. 8C is not on the consent calendar. Somebody wishes to speak on 8C.
Oh, I see.
8B,
Do you want to take 8B first, and
We
I'll
can take
recuse
8
myself, take
we-
it as a consent calendar item, and I'll just leave?
And Commissioner Dodd, you should explain that the basis for your recusal.
I want to see the moon. Is that a good enough reason? No, I live right next door to this proposed project, which means that it affects me in various ways.
be quick. Okay. With that, we have 8B. Do we have a motion with regards to 8B?
I move the agenda item 8B for the extension of tentative track map 03-013.
Second.
And then if we can have, I think we need 2 votes here. One is to approve application 07-EXD-018. So is that the motion that you're making is for the first item? We have 2 items with regards to this. Yes. Okay. And in that case, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Koenig?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Chair Pugh?
Yes. And can we have a motion for the statement of official action?
I move approval of the statement of official action.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Koenig?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Chair Pugh?
Yes. Okay, with that, we will move back to the 2 items that we are now hearing. One is item 8A, which is a correction to a statement of official action. And if we can have the staff report with regards to that.
Commissioners, the original STOA reflected that the project was a 6-unit project, and that it would require a 20% affordable housing component, which at 6 units comes out to 1.2 units. Originally, they were going to provide 1 unit on site and pay the fractional fee for the 0.2, when in fact the proposed development is actually 4 units by right with 2 density bonus units. The affordable housing obligation would be taken against the 4 units, which is 1 on-site moderate income unit. So therefore, the correction is to reflect that change.
And eliminate the .2 business.
The 0.2 business goes away.
The partial just in that case goes away.
That's correct.
So that's what the change is.
That's the change. That's correct.
And I believe that they wanted to use the density bonus because there are some
There are some
state-conferred rights that they have by employing those.
That's correct. They're entitled to some certain incentives by providing 2 density bonus units.
And what were they asking for in particular?
I don't know if I have that here.
I believe it was a side yard and a front yard setback reduction.
Yeah, I think you're right. It could be lot coverage, yeah.
And lot
That
coverage.
was one of my questions. It was written in two different ways. One talking about yard reduction. One talking about yard reduction, another talking about lot area reductions.
Well, lot area reduction would be the parcel coverage. One would be a setback modification.
I think it was lot coverage was the issue. Increased lot coverage and reduced side yards.
That's correct.
Does that answer the questions, or do you have further questions with regards to that, Commissioner
So
Reese?
in front of me today is a 5-unit project or a 6-unit
A
project?
6-unit project with 2 density bonus units,
I thought it was 4 and 1.
No, 4 and 2.
4 and 2.
Well, but he's paying off, you said the fractional goes away because 4 plus 1 is the,
It goes away because it makes it 4 plus 2, and there is no fractional, or at least he's over-provided the...
I'm
Providing the 1 unit on
I'm
site.
with Commissioner Reese on this to get it straight.
It's just confusing to me, but if everyone else is in line with it, I'm not going to...
Well, they have 4 units by right, but they also are entitled to add 2 units if they're affordable. And therefore,
1 unit is affordable.
well, where's the second one coming from then?
Density bonus unit provided by law.
Again, this is the STOA, which is to reflect the action which already occurred.
But we need to understand what we're
Yes, so
approving.
their base project is 4 units. They have an obligation to provide an affordable unit on site, a 20% obligation. That's 0.8. Of course, they're in essence, they're providing 1 unit, so it's a little bit more than the 20%. So one of those 4 units is affordable of the base project. Then, based on the base project, you calculate what their density bonus is. And the density bonus units are always are the market rate additional units that they get as a result of providing the requisite affordable units. So in this case, that's they're entitled to, I think, 35%, 1.2, which gets rounded up to 2. So they get 2 density bonus market rate units. So that
But
gives
you're
you the
winding up
total
with-
of 6. Only one of which is
Okay, I guess I did not understand that in that case. I
So
thought,
because they're putting one of the 4 as a affordable, they therefore in effect get 2, 1.2 rounded up. A rounding rule is to round up then, evidently. We don't, it's not splitting it from 5, it's rounding up. 1.2 equals 2. So we wind up with a 6-unit project.
Correct.
Now, what's the square footage of the affordable compared to the other units?
Again, I don't have the plans in front of me, but they'll be compliant with code.
Well, are they comparable, half as much? I mean, it's a curious question. I mean, it's a curiosity issue.
I mean, yeah, the state basically says it has to be a compatible unit. So it has to be compatible in size, and I think the interior, though, can have separate finishes based on...
That's different, but,
Right.
but compatible or comparable?
compatible, have to be about the same size. You can't put them, it can't be the smallest unit that's in the basement.
So it has to be a comparable unit.
Then I had my questions answered, so I thank you.
do we have a motion?
I'll move approval of agenda item 8A, correction to statement of official action for tract map 06-046 at 853 21st Street.
Do we have a second?
Second.
A roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Dodd,
Yes.
Commissioner Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes?
Commissioner Conan,
Yes.
Commissioner Reese,
Yes.
Chair Pruden.
Yes. All right, with that, we move on to item 8C. Do we have any ex parte communication disclosures with regards to this item? Seeing none, can we have the staff report, please?
Commissioners, this is a request for an airspace subdivision for the purposes of developing a 3-unit condominium project at 908 Fifth Street. The parcel dimensions are 50 by 150. Existing on-site is two two-story apartment buildings built in 1948 with 7 rent-controlled units on site. For purposes of CEQA, the existing improvements have not been determined to be an historic resource. The project has been viewed by staff initially for a preliminary review for code compliance, has found to be compliant with the R2 standards as well as the general plan. Pedestrian access is taken from 5th Street, and vehicular access to the site is proposed by means of the rear alley, which is 5th Court. And staff is recommending approval based upon the findings and conditions contained in your staff report.
Question on the square footage? Question on the square footage? What's the existing of the 7 units, and what's the replacement of the 3?
They're proposing a 3-unit condominium project.
So do they have square footage yet? I would assume.
Of the units?
I mean, 7 to 3 is one thing, but if you're, the 7,490 square foot, that's the, it's probably lot size. So what is the structure? I assume it's 2-story? So then it's,
The first floor proposed is 3,370 square feet, and the second story proposed is 3,033 square feet.
that's 6,400 roughly. And do we know what the existing square footage of the existing structure is?
I don't believe so, no. I'm sorry, no.
It's existing single-story or double? Or
2-story.
Existing double, 2-story. Okay.
Just eyeballing it on the plan, it looks like it's about the same or more footprint than 2-story, so it's probably existing is a bit bigger.
They're just going to have 3 large units rather than...
Okay. Is that the questions for staff at this time? With that, we have 2 slips requesting to speak, and they have 3 minutes each. The applicant? Oh, beg your pardon, the applicant? Does the applicant wish to speak?
Yes, sir. Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Harvey Goodman. I'm the tract engineer for this project. What you have before you tonight is a vesting tentative parcel map with 3 units, and no application has been made for architecture, and it's exclusively just for purposes of approval of the subdivision itself. The subdivider is here along with me, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have regarding the subdivision. Thank you.
Any questions of the applicant? Okay. We have 2 people wishing to speak, Jeff Zanoli and Robert Goldman.
Hello, Jeff Zanioli. I live on 5th Street. I just have questions. I know there is a tree, pine tree that is a landmark on 5th Street, a big pine tree that's been, I think was declared like 3 years ago a landmark, and there's also a lot, and I'm not sure about the address. I'm just asking because there seems to be 2 landmarks now on 5th Street between Idaho and Washington, that there's an old house, an old Santa Monica home that has had a sign in front for demolition for a while, but I remember something pertaining to that the front house would be a landmark and they would build behind it. So my question is simply, I'm on the street, I'm just curious, is that the lot where they're going to build the 3 units? Is there going to be a landmark on that lot? Because I saw 3 units and I thought, why are they only building 3 units on a full?
Well, I think there's a variety of answers for you there.
You can go ahead and answer. Thank you.
Sure. First of all, you can build up to 3 units without putting affordable housing units on. So that's often why developers do that. I'm not saying that specifically that is true in this case. The applicant will come back up before us after we're finished, and they can answer that specifically. With regards to anything related to landmarks, this project will go before the Landmarks Commission if it's older than 40 years old, before a demolition permit can be pulled on that. So certainly that will be looked at. As to whether, I personally do not know whether this is a landmarked building or not. I know that there there are other sites where we've looked at those kinds of issues.
This particular site does not include any landmark buildings.
Okay, and so staff can answer that question for you, so thank you very much. And Robert Goldman? By the way, it would apply to landmark trees and the like also.
Hi, I'm Robert Goldman. I also live on 5th Street, and my question is, this is the 5th construction site going on in our block. Why is this being allowed when Santa Monica supposedly limits it to 2 per block?
If staff cares to answer that particular question.
Well, this is just the subdivision application at the present time. They'll have to go to Architectural Review Board for their review of the building color design, materials, landscaping, and do construction drawings, apply for plan check before they get the building permit. You're right, there is a construction rate program here in the city in the residential districts and multifamily districts that allow only one construction project within 500 feet of another. So this one will be put in the queue like any other building permit that would be issued within 500 feet of a project that's under construction in Union right now.
So how did we get to 4 going on right now? This would be the 5th. If I'm right, why are there 4 going on?
Well, they're staggered by 15 months. So in other words, you cannot issue another building permit for 15 months after another one within 500 feet has been issued. Perhaps the other ones have been going on longer than 15 months. I don't have an answer for you.
I believe also if there's a vacant lot, in other words, it doesn't have a structure on it, it is exempted from that particular ordinance. So I don't know the particulars. I'm just telling you those are some of the rules that exist and may account for why this is occurring. Or it is conceivable that there may have been oversight or mis-oversight, I should say, in terms of allowing this. But I know that the city is pretty stringent about looking at those kinds of items.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I think the residents, if I still have my time, would think there's been an oversight. The people in the block are consistently blocked from getting into their driveways. The people have been putting up with endless dust, noise, intrusion, intimidation by workers, things that really are sort of unacceptable, and they're just wondering why. So.
There are definitely rules to restrict and control the amount of development that occurs at any given time, along the lines of which staff and I have indicated to you. You can certainly talk to building and safety. They do have something where they examine those issues.
Is that
Code enforcement?
Can we give him a specific reference so that he doesn't walk out of here?
I believe that the site is posted with a name and phone number you can contact if you have problems or issues.
Do you know how long the other projects have been going on?
Well, basically since 2003, it's just been continuous. There have been 2 at a time since 2003. There have been either across the alley or across the street, that whole block, Idaho, 5th, 4th, and Washington. There's been at least 2 at any given time since 2003. If you just walk by, you can see. Walk to the one of the alleys.
Farther than 500 feet apart, because the rule applies to within 500 feet of the first one. So if the other one is at one end of the block, one's at the other end of the block.
They're not 500 feet. The alley itself is less than 500 feet, and they're across the alley from each other.
Councilmember McHugh?
I've actually been aware of the situation Mr. Goldman's talking about and have been looking into what has been happening on that block, which I had a similar thing happen on the block where I live before we passed the ordinance and was involved in the passage of the ordinance, which was supposed to protect residents from this kind of impact. But there were, for good reason, certain exemptions. One, I think, was the vacant lot you talked about, so that we wouldn't leave a vacant lot unused. I think there's also an exemption for landmark properties, and there are a couple of landmark properties on that block. So there are 2 things going on right now that I think I can divulge. One is I've asked staff to clarify what exactly is going on that block so I fully understand it, because I'm a little confused about all the addresses I've gotten, because when a lot is under construction, people often refer to it as the lot next to the lot next door. And by the time you're done trying to figure out with 4 different construction projects which lots are involved, it does get confusing. We're working on that. We're also looking at the ordinance itself, the construction rate management ordinance, to make sure that it accomplishes what the council intended it to accomplish. And if it does not, then we will be revisiting that ordinance.
My suggestion to you is that you talk to staff, building and safety, And if you find that you are not getting an adequate answer that appears to satisfy the requirements of the code, then I would suggest that you contact the Commission, and we'll see if we can't follow ask questions of staff ourselves.
I mean, the answer I can give shortly is you wait in line for an hour to talk to a person who tells you to go to another person, and then at the very end, he tells you to start again.
So all I can, I don't know what to say to that, except that maybe staff can answer that question.
Well, I think you can send an email as well to the Building and Safety Division. You can send it to, why don't you send it to me?
Okay.
Okay, and I'll give you my email address after the meeting is over,
Okay.
and then I'll follow up for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I have a follow-up question, but it's not specific to this project. Should I ask it now or after we've taken action on the project? As to the rate and building rate and type of thing.
Let's hold off on that question. We can, I think, probably talk about that under sort of a generic catch-all question, and if that gets to be too far along the line there for our city attorney here, we will then schedule it as a discussion item. Okay. Does the applicant wish to respond to this item? I think there was a question regarding whether there was any landmarks close to, adjacent, or on this property.
Well, I can only answer about the tree part, because we have a survey that doesn't show any large trees on the property, only small trees. There are trees in front of the property that are going to be protected in the public right-of-way, but I don't know about any nearby landmarks. This one is not a landmark.
Are there any structures older than 40 years old on the site?
Yes, there.
Will you be going before the Landmarks Commission to get a demolition permit?
Yes, we will.
Okay, so this will in fact be reviewed further by the city and by the various commissions as appropriate.
Yes, definitely be seen.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, Commissioner Reese.
This is a
Okay.
standard at this point.
Yeah.
Regarding the landmark issue, you had indicated that for CEQA purposes, there was no historic resources on the site. But I'm just kind of curious how this interplays with, it hasn't gone to landmarks yet, which is where they're looking at historic issues.
It'll be reaffirmed at landmarks when they review the demolition application.
Okay, and is it typical for us to look at these cases first before they go to landmarks? Because it just seems to me that it's a little odd for us to be making a finding that there's no historic significance, and then it goes on to a body that looks at that specifically.
But we have our liaison to the Landmarks Commission review all of these projects and review the existing improvements on site to see if there's really any kind of indication that in fact might be an historic resource. So staff does that preliminary review before we bring it to you folks, and then Landmarks Commission reaffirms that when they get the demolition application.
And if I could just add, there's nothing in our processes currently that would require an applicant to first go to landmarks before filing the map. And of course, once the map's been filed, we're under, as you know, strict timelines, staff's under strict timelines to process it, and must make this independent assessment, as you know, under CEQA. But it's clear in the staff report and in the conditions of approval that does not in any way undermine the review that the Landmarks Commission will do.
Okay, so any further questions of staff? If not, the item is before us for discussion.
I'll move we approve the subdivision land map.
And I'll second that. I just want to point out there is a condition 3 that clearly states out the construction time frame that you can't get a permit. So 15 months is the time frame. I don't think this project would be an exempt project, so it would be held to that, and it is definitely in there as a condition.
So just point of clarification, and you're saying, if I understand what I understood Mr. Foley to say earlier, that permits are issued on a given block within the 500-foot radius at 15-month intervals, unless the first one in line is, of course, finished and received their C of O, which, when we say finished, we mean receiving the C of O. Is that determination finished, even though C of O does not include landscaping, correct?
It does.
It does include it. So landscaping has to be finished in order to get the C of O.
That's correct.
Okay. So did I interpret that right? That even if project number 1 is not finished within 15 months, project number 2 can still begin at the 15-month point?
That's correct.
Correct.
So you could there theoretically have 2 projects going, and the third one in line would have to be 15 months after that.
And as the council member indicated, there may be exempt projects that can go forward. also.
Affordable housing projects are exempt, for example.
The one thing I don't see in here is the 500-foot distance mentioned in that condition. So
Sites compliance with the section.
it's condition 3 on page 9, and it doesn't mention within 500 feet. So, or am I misreading that? Does anybody see that?
It's in the cited section.
In the cited section, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion before us. Can we?
I'd second it.
Yes.
Yeah, and just discussion, it's kind of probably preaching to the choir, but it is a little bit of a shame that we're losing 7 units and all we're getting back is 3 here. And I think that, it's something we need to look at pretty closely when we're redoing our plans in the future, that I think we're kind of, in a way, we're incentivizing these lower unit projects.
That is, there are 2 items there. One, obviously, is the Ellis Act, which allows people to go out of the business of the rental business. The question I think that you're saying here, and tell me if I understand what you're saying, is the concern that we're lowering the density as opposed to, or at least in terms of the number of units. It may not be with regards to the square footage. We don't know. And there was a question with regards to
I was absolutely focused on the reduction in the density with that comment. So,
Just to add to that, they look like quite large units, particularly the large ones, and large units tend to be very expensive units, and we have this huge gap, we have very expensive units and losing some of the older housing stocks.
My interpretation of his comment, Commissioner Reese's comment, was that 7 existing rent-controlled units would be removed from the marketplace and replaced by 3 quote-unquote luxury units. Yes. Even though the square footage would be roughly similar, and
might be.
2 stories, that the issue is the affordability, and we just got the housing element, before that came in our packets. And this is an issue that comes up before the board over the years frequently, that needs to be further discussed.
And I think that one of the things that there has...
His point's very well taken.
And I think that along with that is that we've had a tendency to downzone things in terms of number of units, and maybe a more pertinent look would be not so much in terms of the number of units, but if we are determined to downzone, that maybe square footage is a better indicator, because one way of creating affordable housing is by allowing smaller units to appear.
That's an excellent point, and I think if there's be a future opportunity, we should really dwell on that. That's an excellent point.
Okay. With that, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Dodd?
No.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Koenig?
Yes.
Commissioner Reese?
yes.
Chair Pugh?
Yes. And I believe we have a statement of official action also to go with that. So do I have a motion?
I move the statement of official action for agenda item C.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Reese?
Yes.
Commissioner Koenig?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Davis?
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd?
No.
Chair Pugh?
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. We have no...
Oh, could I come back to my little...
yes, we're almost there.
Moment?
We're almost there.
You tell me when.
Item 9 is public hearings, of which we have none on this particular agenda. So we now have item 10, which is a discussion regarding policies, processes, materials, timelines, particularly regarding Shape the Future motion by the ocean. And I think it's general enough that you can ask your questions.
This goes to staff as to the rules on construction, the permissibility of construction on federal and posted specified holidays. like last Monday was President's Day. That was a no construction day in the city. No, now, the question is, what does no construction mean? As I drove from down near the Pier area up to north of Montana, there were 5 construction, what to my mind were activities going on. One was intersection work where they were putting in new light signals, digging the trenches in the commercial area on the street. Another was in front of McDonald's where the street crews were out by the private contractors redoing the streets. Then there was one tree crew digging up a large tree in one area, and someone else was putting brick walls up in the front of the property. So my question is, how are we defining the word construction? When I called the police department saying this was, to me, unauthorized construction on holiday, they got perturbed, say, what do you do, driving around looking for construction jobs going on? I said, no, I'm on my way home, and I noticed 5 on the way. So the question is landscaping, I don't mean to gardener cutting the lawn, but that's another question, but is landscaping considered construction on these no work permitted days? Is the city projects exempt from this day? If it's in commercial, is it exempt and it only applies to residential? What's the interpretation of the no work day?
Now, these all
Are you asking this questions in light of how you might modify the land use element to cover?
Yes,
Absolutely.
That's precisely what the thrust of my comment was.
My understanding is that
Well, let's see what they say. I want to hear what you have to say, but I want to hear what they
just giving you,
I want to hear what
while
they
he's
say.
looking, that utility work, work in school grounds and on public works are exempt, and it only applies to work that's done on private property that's permitted by the city of Santa Monica.
What do you mean permanent?
Permitted.
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 In other words, the construction
Not permitted, but permitted.
only applies to permitted work.
Yes.
So landscaping usually is not a permitted work.
If it's part of a project that goes through ARB, it's part of the permit.
But if it's a repair to a brick wall out in front,
then it would not be.
and it would not, because it wouldn't be permitted in that place, and the same as the tree removal would not be permitted. Even a big tree was not permitted.
Right.
Actually,
And-
President's Day is not one of the holidays listed as those that are will require that work not be performed.
Yes, it is. I called building safety, they said it is definitely a no-work day, and the police department said it was a no-work day. And when a particular project I know, the plumber showed up, the tenants called the city, and the city told him that he couldn't work that day, and he split. And he didn't work. I believe President's Day is written on the permit signs that are given out by building and safety downstairs. It says President's Day on it. It's a federal holiday. And the code reads federal holidays and state holidays. It's not an argument over whether the day is or the day. We could figure that later. The question is, what does it apply or not apply to? And if it's clear in the code, as Commissioner Koenig's exemption explanation, because you've had personal experience, that, say it one more time, public projects are exempt?
I'm saying any project that gets a permit from
That I
Department of
got.
Building and Safety, that has the jurisdiction because that's the code. But when they go and do streetlights, they don't get permits from Building and Safety. The gas company jackhammering the road
Right.
doesn't get a permit from Building Safety.
Oh, really?
The guys who mow the lawns in the schools,
No, I'm not counting that. I'm talking
Right.
about so-called construction.
they start at 7 o'clock because they have to, because school starts at 8. So they're out there making a lot of racket.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy who comes in to paint the house has to wait till 8 o'clock.
Yeah, and the plumber who, et cetera, et
Or
cetera.
the plumber who's coming in to fix up the leaky faucet.
Okay. Okay. Well, I don't want to, I'm not trying to make people crazy here. I just wanted a simple
So
interpretation.
maybe what we should do is
Like it is.
agendize this as an item for staff to get back
Fine,
as a
fine.
response for us,
Fine.
because I think we're not getting a ready answer at this
Fine, well,
time.
thank you, Commissioner Koenig. I really appreciate your answer. It was very helpful.
While we're talking about the loose, another item, and we touched on this, I also noticed today, I took my dog for a walk, and there were 2 construction projects, one across from the other, and I went around the next street and there was another one, and then I went around the next street and there was another one. Didn't occur to me. I was interested in them because I love looking at construction sites. And so there's another example. So I think somehow either of these projects are taking a lot longer, or somehow we need to tighten up that.
The 500, you're talking about the 500-foot rule?
Well, the 500-foot rule may be okay, but maybe it's just not getting enforced, or maybe the 15 months is a problem.
Well, that's what can I follow up on your point then? Because I could think of a couple of projects that were given approval by Planning Commission even as long ago as 2 years ago that have not broken ground, and existing tenants have not moved out, as an example, for whatever market can do. Who knows why, but they don't. So here the clock starts ticking on this at day one. Meanwhile, they don't start construction for 2 years. At the same time, the guy next door, theoretically, has his approval in the meantime, and he starts construction. So now we've got two side-by-side projects because the first guy started so late, because he has I don't know, he can start, I don't know, like evidently years after.
I think it's 1 year without, and then there's some extensions beyond that. But from the time you receive the permit.
So we may want to look at that question also.
That's part of it.
There's a difference between actual and permitted, the permitted beginning point and the actual beginning point, and that's what I think throws some confusion into the mix here. And I think we should look at that if we're going to agendize and discuss it.
Yes.
Just, if I may, just add the context of how that number was arrived at. Originally, the council had a different length of time for that, and through a threat of litigation, negotiations ensued that found us reducing it to 15. So if the Planning Commission wishes to change that, you might ask the City Attorney's Office to brief you in some way on how we arrived at that 15 and what it would mean to change it.
I think it's of more interest, not necessarily what that number is, but how effective everything's working at this point is of bigger concern to us.
Whether or not this ordinance successfully implements the intent the council had is at this point an open question, and I'd welcome your investigation into that.
Could I follow up with Commissioner McKeon's point? Originally, I understood that north of Wilshire was one construction mitigation program timeline. It was segmented out only to a north of Wilshire, and from Wilshire to Montana, I don't know, from 15th to the ocean as an example. Did it then subsequently get expanded citywide to all residential areas, meaning R2, R1, and commercial, or does it apply only to R2 areas?
The current ordinance is multifamily citywide.
So that's really, to me, R2 and R3 only.
And R4.
And R4. But not commercial, so it doesn't apply.
The intent of the ordinance is to protect residential neighborhoods, and so that's the zoning that it applies to.
So even if a commercial is right next to residential, like on let's say Wilshire, it wouldn't apply, because your residential could be right next to a commercial. Let's say you're 2 lots off of Wilshire as an example. So your R zoning is abutting C designation, and it wouldn't
we have other ways in which we're able to control the frequency of construction in commercial areas, but in residential areas, because state law requires that housing projects go forward, we've found that there was a demonstrated need to stagger the starts and let people have a little bit of peace and quiet in between. So,
so this
is a residential neighborhood ordinance.
Thank you. So it was extended.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, just, it does, in the new version of the code, it does include President's Day. So there you go.
Give me my gold star.
But we'll have to look
I want my penny.
We'll look further at the other question. I think it should be agendized for further discussion. And as the council member indicated, the issue with the construction rate program is something that's been recently raised, and in fact, I believe a matter may be is likely coming before the council next week on this very issue.
There you go.
Sometimes we get action.
All right, very good. We have written communications before us, the Planning Commission case list, cumulative projects list, and the current case list. Unless there are any comments, we'll pass on to future commission items, which I believe we've added a couple this evening. Commissioner Reese.
On the case list for Planning Commission, I note in the back, the last page, it talks about appeals to Planning Commission. And as much as I wish the answer was actually none, we know that there's at least 28 coming our way.
Those have never been on there.
Okay, but
We
it,
didn't know the status of
okay. It seems like we should get them on, and we should place them on there, and that could help us on nights like tonight, that maybe we should be hearing one or two of these appeal cases.
And I had to follow up to Commissioner Reese's point at an earlier meeting where we talked about the recycling on the, not just fast food, but the cafes, the street cafes. Remember the receptacles you were mentioning? And we were going to agendize that, so I don't know if you've otherwise told them to do that, but if not, we could throw that out now. I mean, we could put the item on the,
You know what?
future item.
I appreciate you bringing that back up, but as mentioned by Councilman McCune, I believe that night was the Task Force on the Environment's looking at this, and so is the Sustainable Cities Task Force, and we have other items. I just thought if something I could add in quickly to that ordinance,
Okay.
I was opting for it.
So we'll wait till proper time.
And I have an item. I have spoken with Nina Fresco from the Landmarks Commission, and she has made a request that we discuss the idea that should appeals to commission designations or rulings, particularly with the planning, landmarks, and ARB, be appealed to council, that we request of council that there be a opportunity to make a 5-minute presentation on behalf of the particular commission. So this would be a future agenda item for us to determine whether we want to request that of council.
Very good. Yeah, I would underline that. Excellent.
So with that, any other future agenda items? Seeing none and no public input, we are now adjourned.